Deep within a limestone cavern on the southern flank of Mount Ida, the warm glow of flickering oil lamps cast an ethereal light upon an astonishing tableau. Thousands upon thousands of pottery vessels lined the cavern walls, each a silent testament to countless generations of devoted worshippers. This sacred sanctuary at Camares had become a vital pilgrimage destination, a place where humanity sought communion with the divine, marking the genesis of Europe's inaugural, profound spiritual tradition. Here, within this island dominion at the very dawn of civilization, communities were forging something entirely unprecedented. While immense pyramids ascended along the fertile banks of the Nile and burgeoning metropolises thrived in the cradle of Mesopotamia, a unique island civilization was taking shape at the heart of the Mediterranean, destined to eclipse them all in its artistic brilliance and enduring peaceful prosperity. The island itself appeared sculpted by nature for a destiny of greatness. Spanning 160 meters from its eastern to western extremities, this rugged mountainous landmass floated like a radiant jewel suspended between three continents. Its natural harbors offered welcoming passages towards Egypt to the south, Anatolia to the east, and the scattered archipelago of the Cycladic Islands to the north. This strategic crossroads positioned the realm at the nexus of burgeoning maritime arteries that would soon transport invaluable commodities across the ancient world. Verdant valleys, cradled between imposing mountain ranges, were nourished by seasonal streams and bathed in the generous Mediterranean sunshine. In stark contrast to the great river valleys where civilization's sustenance depended on monumental irrigation enterprises, this island offered a more gentle trajectory towards prosperity, cultivated through diversified agriculture and inherent natural abundance. The fertile soil readily supported the cultivation of wheat, barley, olives, and grapes, while wild game roamed the untamed hills and teeming marine life filled the surrounding seas. As the Bronze Age cast its transformative shadow across the eastern Mediterranean 3 millennia before the birth of Christ, humble farming communities were scattered across the landscape. Radiocarbon dating of charcoal samples unearthed from these early settlements reveals a remarkable metamorphosis. Dispersed Neolithic hamlets gradually evolved into substantial, organized villages, characterized by sturdy stone foundations and an increasingly sophisticated ceramic artistry. At Konos, situated in the north-central region, human habitation had been continuous since 7000 BC, solidifying its status as one of Europe's most ancient continuously occupied locales. Excavation strata meticulously narrate a chronicle of gradual advancement and burgeoning refinement. Simple pit dwellings yielded to more permanent rectangular limestone structures. Basic earthenware evolved into exquisitely crafted vessels adorned with elegant spirals, precise lines, and intricate geometric patterns, demonstrating not only technical mastery, but also a profound artistic sensibility. These early island inhabitants made a pivotal decision that would fundamentally shape the character of their civilization. They prioritized accessibility over fortification. Unlike their mainland contemporaries who meticulously constructed fortified settlements upon elevated hilltops, these inhabitants deliberately chose locations proximate to fertile plains and sheltered natural harbors. This pronounced preference for openness and communal interaction over defensive isolation signaled an inherent confidence that would define their societal ethos for millennia to come. Commercial networks began to materialize with astonishing rapidity during these formative centuries. Obsidian blades, possessing a sharpness surpassing any contemporary tool, journeyed from the volcanic island of Gali to workshops distributed throughout the realm. This obsidian, a deep black volcanic glass, found only in a few select Mediterranean locales, unequivocally proves the existence of sophisticated maritime commerce operating well before 2500 BC. The true revolution, however, arrived with copper. This incredibly versatile metal, flowing from Cyprus and Anatolia, profoundly transformed daily life and expanded technological possibilities. Local artisans rapidly mastered the intricate techniques of metallurgy, producing tools, weaponry, and adornments that marked a decisive departure from the Stone Age past. Early axes discovered in burial sites attest to a sophisticated understanding of metalworking. The alloy was meticulously hammered while hot, then carefully annealed to achieve a perfect equilibrium between extreme hardness and necessary flexibility. The island's strategically advantageous position grew increasingly vital as these burgeoning commercial networks expanded. Ships found refuge in protected bays while facilitating the transport of goods between Egypt and Anatolia, or between the Levantine coast and the western Mediterranean. Local mariners, absorbing knowledge from their foreign counterparts, developed formidable seafaring expertise that would soon establish dominance over the Aegean. Social transformation paralleled this economic expansion. Evidence of community hierarchy began to emerge during the late 3rd millennium BC, with specific locations exhibiting clear indicators of increasing complexity. Knossos, blessed with exceptionally fertile fields and a natural deep-water harbor, grew considerably in size beyond that of its neighboring settlements. Its buildings became more substantial, its ceramic production more refined, and its imports more diverse and numerous. The emergence of elite families is strikingly evident in the burial practices of this era. While the majority of islanders continued to receive simple pit burials, accompanied by modest grave offerings, certain select individuals were afforded elaborate interment within chamber tombs meticulously carved into hillsides. These elite burials contained opulent objects, including gold jewelry, imported pottery, and masterfully crafted daggers, indicating that specific families had amassed wealth and power far exceeding that of their peers. This transition from communal to individual burial practices underscores profound societal shifts. Earlier Neolithic communities had interred their dead in collective ossuaries, emphasizing collective identity over individual status. The subsequent appearance of single burials adorned with distinctive grave goods signaled the ascendant rise of personal wealth and a more pronounced social hierarchy. Spiritual practices evolved in tandem with societal complexity, giving rise to traditions that would ultimately define the island's sacred beliefs. Small shrines began to appear within communities, distinguished by their unique curved horns of consecration. These symbolic bull horns, adorning altar areas where congregations would gather for solemn ceremonies, represented the initial blossoming of what would mature into a rich and elaborate iconography. Bulls commanded a special reverence from these earliest periods. Wild bulls, powerful and formidable creatures, roamed the mountains, inspiring both profound awe and deep respect. Their horns became sacred emblems, their likenesses adorning pottery and seals. This deep-seated veneration would eventually culminate in elaborate bull-leaping rituals that captured the imagination of subsequent civilizations and gave rise to the enduring legend of the Minotaur. Peak sanctuaries began to emerge across the island. These ritualistic sites were deliberately constructed upon prominent mountaintops, where sacred ceremonies unfolded beneath the vast expanse of the open sky. These elevated vantage points, visible for miles around, served as crucial focal points for regional spiritual activities. The widespread practice of mountain worship reflected the profound and intrinsic connection the people shared with their dramatic and awe-inspiring natural landscape. Goddess worship increasingly assumed a prominent role in spiritual life. Female figurines, depicting women with pronounced breasts and wide hips, began to appear in household shrines and burial contexts. These representations strongly suggest that feminine deities occupied central positions within their sacred belief systems, indicating that women likely held significant roles within clerical hierarchies. The development of Europe's very first writing system commenced during this transformative period. Simple pictographic marks started appearing on ceramics and seals, stylized depictions of humans, animals, and objects that represented the earliest endeavors at written communication on the continent. These rudimentary signs laid the crucial groundwork for the sophisticated linear A script that would later meticulously record the transactions and beliefs of the palatial civilization. Seal stones grew increasingly sophisticated throughout these centuries, intricately carved with complex designs and utilized to denote ownership or authenticate important documents. Local artisans developed remarkable skill in creating these miniature works of art, meticulously etching detailed scenes onto pieces of stone no larger than thumbnails. The imagery revealed intimate insights into early island life: ships sailing across stylized waves, human figures engaged in ritualistic poses, depictions of both domesticated and wild animals, and enigmatic abstract markings. Technological innovation accelerated substantially throughout the 3rd millennium. The potter's wheel, introduced around the midpoint of the millennium, revolutionized ceramic production, empowering artisans to fashion perfectly symmetrical vessels, characterized by thin walls and elegant proportions. This groundbreaking innovation, likely learned through contact with Syrian or Egyptian craftsmen, elevated earthenware from purely utilitarian objects to exquisite works of art. Metallurgy reached new pinnacles of sophistication as smiths expertly mastered the challenging art of alloying copper with tin. This process yielded a material considerably harder and more durable than pure copper, yet it necessitated the importation of tin from distant locales, potentially including Anatolia, the Caucasus, or even Afghanistan. The ability to procure this vital component underscores the impressive reach of the island's expanding commercial networks. Architectural techniques evolved steadily during these formative centuries. Builders skillfully constructed multi-story edifices employing meticulously fitted stone foundations and timber-framed upper levels. Flat roofs, supported by robust wooden beams, facilitated vertical expansion while simultaneously providing valuable space for storage and daily activities. These construction methodologies would later be refined into the sophisticated building traditions that characterized the palatial period. Agricultural intensification played a crucial role in supporting burgeoning populations and increasingly complex societies. Terraced fields were meticulously constructed on hillsides, maximizing arable land while effectively preventing soil erosion. Olive cultivation expanded dramatically as farmers recognized the exceptional hardiness of olive trees, which thrived on marginal lands unsuitable for grain cultivation. The multifaceted products derived from olives, oil for cooking, illumination, and ceremonial use, olives themselves for sustenance, wood for construction and fuel, rendered them invaluable to the island's economy. Craft specialization became pronounced as communities grew larger and more prosperous. Potters, metalworkers, stone carvers, and textile producers began to focus exclusively on their respective crafts, rather than combining production with agricultural duties. This heightened specialization led to dramatic improvements in the quality of manufactured goods and unlocked new avenues for artistic expression. Textile production reached elevated levels of sophistication, as evidenced by later representations and the undeniable elegance of the island's clothing. Sheep provided abundant wool, while flax plants cultivated in the fertile valley, bottoms supplied fine fibers for linen production. The balmy Mediterranean climate facilitated the creation of lightweight, vibrantly colored garments that would later astound foreign visitors with their remarkable refinement. Maritime technology advanced rapidly as the islanders eagerly absorbed knowledge from experienced seafarers hailing from Cyprus, Syria, and Egypt. Early ship designs, depicted in seal engravings and later in vibrant frescoes, featured distinctive high prows and sterns, perfectly adapted for the challenging conditions of the Mediterranean. These vessels, constructed from locally sourced cypress and pine timber, possessed the capacity to carry substantial cargoes while maintaining the crucial speed and maneuverability essential for successful voyages. Permanent outposts began to emerge during this period as astute merchants recognized the strategic advantages of establishing bases in foreign territories. Small island communities appeared within the Cycladic archipelago, serving as vital intermediary stations for commerce between the homeland and mainland territories. These overseas establishments would later evolve into an extensive network of commercial bases that spanned the entirety of the Aegean Sea. Cultural exchange accelerated significantly as contacts multiplied. Egyptian influences became discernible in local artistic styles and iconography, while Anatolian metalworking techniques contributed to improved production methods. Syrian ceramic styles inspired significant innovations. This infusion of cosmopolitan influence, filtered through the lens of local creativity, resulted in a truly unique cultural synthesis. Population growth and burgeoning economic prosperity laid the groundwork for revolutionary transformations. During the early second millennium BC, successful farming communities accumulated substantial surpluses, enabling them to support a growing cadre of specialists, artists, and administrators. Extensive commercial networks generated significant wealth, which could then be channeled into funding ambitious construction projects. Well-established spiritual traditions provided the ideological frameworks necessary for increasingly complex social hierarchies. Around 2000 BC, influential local leaders commenced the construction of the first monumental edifices that would ultimately evolve into the magnificent palatial complexes. These nascent structures, modest in comparison to their later successors but undeniably impressive by contemporary standards, signaled the dawn of a new era in Mediterranean civilization. The scattered farming communities of 3 millennia prior had now evolved into a sophisticated proto-urban civilization. A prosperous economy underpinned a growing populace. Extensive commercial networks inextricably linked the island to the broader Mediterranean world. Highly developed craft traditions had given rise to unique and distinctive artistic styles. Coherent spiritual beliefs fostered social cohesion and a strong sense of cultural identity. Most critically, a deep-seated tradition of peaceful cooperation, rather than overt military competition, had firmly taken root. By the dawn of the second millennium, the foundational elements for greatness were comprehensively in place. Europe's inaugural civilization stood poised to construct the magnificent palatial centers that would propel the island realm to become the Mediterranean's preeminent maritime power. The commencement of the second millennium BC ushered in a cascade of revolutionary changes across the island realm. What began as modest ceremonial centers rapidly underwent a profound transformation, evolving into architectural marvels that would leave the ancient world in utter astonishment. At Knossos, Phaistos, Malea, and Zakros, ambitious rulers orchestrated the construction of colossal complexes that fundamentally redefined Mediterranean society. These were not formidable fortresses built for conflict, but rather vibrant centers of prosperity meticulously designed for peace. The initial grand structure at Knossos, initiated around 1900 BC, encompassed over 4 acres of ground, featuring a labyrinthine arrangement of interconnected rooms, winding corridors, and open courtyards that appeared to grow organically from the natural contours of the landscape. In stark contrast to the heavily fortified citadels favored by contemporary cultures, these structures extended their welcoming embrace to visitors, traders, and pilgrims from every corner of the known world. The groundbreaking architectural innovations pioneered within these centers revolutionized construction techniques throughout the Mediterranean basin. Light wells, essentially open vertical shafts designed to channel sunlight deep into interior spaces, effectively eliminated the need for smoky torches in work areas. Sophisticated drainage systems meticulously channeled rainwater through carefully engineered conduits, effectively preventing flooding, while simultaneously supplying the substantial water requirements of thousands of inhabitants. Advanced plumbing systems delivered running water directly to royal apartments and ceremonial areas. Clay pipes, fitted with remarkable precision, transported fresh water from distant mountain springs to elaborate bathing facilities complete with exquisitely decorated bathtubs and functional flushing toilets. These remarkable hygienic innovations would remain unsurpassed in Europe for an additional 3,000 years. Yet they were standard integrated features in every major center by 1700 BC. The earthquake-resistant construction techniques developed by the island's architects represented a pinnacle of engineering mastery forged from the crucible of harsh experience. The island's geographical location along active seismic zones necessitated ingenious and innovative solutions. Builders skillfully incorporated flexible timber frameworks within massive stone foundations, allowing the structures to bend and sway rather than fracture during seismic tremors. Immense wooden columns, notably wider at the top than at the base, effectively distributed weight while providing the crucial flexibility necessary to withstand the frequent seismic activity. Storage capacity assessments derived from excavated magazines reveal the staggering scale of economic activity coordinated within these centers. At Knossos alone, over 400 colossal pithoi, enormous clay storage jars, often standing taller than an average human, possess the capacity to hold more than 75,000 gallons of vital commodities such as olive oil, wine, and grain. These systematically organized storage facilities enabled administrators to effectively manage the agricultural output from thousands of estates scattered across the entire island. The intricate relationship between these magnificent complexes and the surrounding communities fostered a unique form of governance, skillfully balancing centralized coordination with a considerable degree of local autonomy. Each major center controlled a distinct territorial region, collecting agricultural surpluses and craft products from dozens of satellite towns and rural estates. Unlike the oppressive tributary systems prevalent elsewhere, this cooperative arrangement demonstrably benefited all participants through enhanced storage capabilities, efficient distribution networks, and the safeguarding of essential resources. The enigmatic script known as Linear A, though yet to be fully deciphered, offers tantalizing glimpses into the sophisticated bureaucratic apparatus that meticulously coordinated this complex economy. What scholars have managed to decipher reveals meticulous record-keeping pertaining to livestock numbers, land ownership, craft production quotas, and sacred offerings. The numerical systems and place names meticulously recorded in these documents clearly indicate that highly competent bureaucrats maintain detailed knowledge of economic activities across their entire territories. The most readily interpretable content within these records involves numerical data and commodity symbols. Scribes diligently tracked thousands of sheep, hundreds of cattle, and vast quantities of agricultural products, utilizing a sophisticated decimal system that greatly facilitated complex calculations. Standardized measurement units for essential staples like grain and oil enabled precise resource management across geographically dispersed territories. Seals and their integral bureaucratic functions grew increasingly sophisticated during this period. Hieroglyphic seals, meticulously carved with intricate spiritual and governmental symbols, served to authenticate important documents and denote ownership of various goods. Officials employed distinctive seal designs to validate transactions, thereby establishing an early form of personal identification that ensured accountability throughout the entire administrative hierarchy. Craft specialization reached unprecedented levels of development within these expansive complexes. Dedicated workshops specifically designed for pottery production, metalworking, textile manufacturing, and stone carving occupied entire sections of the buildings. Evidence recovered from these areas provides invaluable insights into the tools employed, the raw materials utilized, and the unfinished products themselves, meticulously documenting intensive manufacturing activity orchestrated by specialized artisans. The artistic achievements emanating from these specialized workshops profoundly transformed Mediterranean aesthetic traditions. Frescoes, painted in brilliant hues of blue, red, and yellow, derived from imported pigments, depicted scenes of breathtaking natural beauty and captivating human grace, marking a dramatic departure from the rigid stylistic conventions characteristic of Egyptian and Mesopotamian art. Graceful dolphins cavorted across the walls of bathrooms, while elegant court ladies, adorned with elaborate hairstyles, participated in sacred ceremonies. Marine motifs dominated the decorative schemes, vividly reflecting the islanders' profound and intrinsic connection to the sea that both surrounded and sustained them. Octopi with sinuous tentacles adorned pottery vessels, while schools of shimmering flying fish swam across the walls. These remarkably naturalistic representations revealed an artistic philosophy that celebrated the inherent beauty of the natural world, rather than emphasizing human dominion over nature. An open and inviting design characterized every aspect of these remarkable structures, from grand staircases meticulously crafted to welcome visitors to spacious courtyards where large gatherings convened for sacred ceremonies. The notable absence of defensive walls surrounding these complexes stands as a testament to the remarkable security these rulers enjoyed. While contemporary societies diligently constructed massive fortifications to protect their centers of power, the island's leaders instead relied upon their naval supremacy rather than land-based defenses. Evidence substantiating the peaceful nature of this culture accumulates from multiple independent sources. Weapons appear with extreme rarity in archaeological contexts, and when present, they seem to serve primarily ceremonial rather than military functions. Exquisite bronze daggers with handles inlaid with gold were clearly works of art intended for display, not for engagement in warfare. The elaborately decorated ritual vessels and sacred paraphernalia that fill storerooms stand in stark contrast to the formidable arsenals that characterized other Bronze Age centers of power. The naval supremacy that underpinned this era of peaceful prosperity becomes vividly apparent through the numerous remains discovered across the Aegean. Pottery fragments, intact seals, and other artifacts unequivocally demonstrate extensive commercial and cultural influence extending throughout the Cycladic Islands and along the Greek mainland. This maritime empire operated through the compelling force of economic attraction rather than overt military coercion, effectively spreading prosperity wherever its merchants established lucrative trading relationships. The Cycladic Islands themselves served as crucial stepping stones for expanding commercial networks that ultimately reached every far-flung corner of the eastern Mediterranean. On Thera, Melos, and other key islands, communities mirrored the architectural styles, artistic motifs, and spiritual practices of the major cultural hubs. These voluntary adoptions underscored the significant prestige and allure of the island's advanced civilization. Mainland Greece underwent a substantial cultural transformation through its interaction with this refined society. In emerging centers like Myene and Pios, local leaders adopted construction methods, artistic trends, and governance techniques observed from island traders and artisans. The renowned shaft graves of Mycenae, laden with golden masks and intricate weaponry, clearly demonstrate influences from artistic traditions blended with the military preferences of the mainland. Spiritual practices focused around these complexes reached remarkable levels of sophistication during this era. Priest-kings adorned in sumptuous ceremonial attire and distinctive feathered headdresses officiated over rituals that merged devotion with political authority. These leaders acted as conduits between the earthly and celestial spheres, their legitimacy derived from special connections to the island's patron deities. Serpent goddesses, depicted in striking statuettes discovered in shrines, personified the divine feminine power that appeared to dominate sacred life. These bare-breasted figures, clutching writhing serpents in outstretched hands, commanded both veneration and awe. Their prominent display in sacred spaces suggests that women held positions of considerable influence within clerical structures. Sacred caves across the island became popular pilgrimage sites linked to state-sanctioned festivals. At Syro, Ida, and other mountain grottos, worshippers left thousands of bronze figurines, ceramic vessels, and valuable ornaments as offerings to deities of the underworld. These cave sanctuaries, connected to the main centers via processional routes and ceremonies, established an island-wide network of sacred locations. Summit sanctuaries proliferated during this period, with over 20 major mountaintop sites serving communities throughout the island. These elevated temples, visible from afar, synchronized regional spiritual activities while strengthening the visual link between human settlements and the divine forces believed to inhabit high places. Bull leaping emerged as the most spectacular and physically demanding ritual of this era. Evidence from frescoes indicates that young athletes, both male and female, performed death-defying acrobatic feats, using live bulls as partners in elaborate ceremonies. These performances, staged in central courtyards before large audiences, demanded exceptional physical conditioning and precise timing. Modern analyses of the physics involved in bull leaping confirm that these feats were indeed achievable rather than mere symbolic representations. The athletes would face charging bulls directly, grip their horns, and utilize the animal's upward thrust to leap entirely over its back, a breathtaking display of human agility and bravery. The spiritual significance of these spectacles likely pertain to themes of human collaboration with natural forces rather than their subjugation. Gender roles within this society exhibited remarkable parity when compared to contemporary cultures. Frescoes portray women actively participating in ceremonies, athletic contests, and social gatherings with evident freedom and dignity. The prominent depiction of goddesses in sacred art, coupled with evidence of female priestesses and potential female rulers, suggests that women enjoyed elevated status and considerable authority. A theocracy